There is a saying that if the lion cannot tell its story, the story always glorifies the hunter. So we are looking at telling our Zambian story, our African stories. Most of the time we have allowed other people to tell our stories. So we are looking at from the perspective that we tell our own stories to improve the narrative. The narrative is that our story is that of success. We have the story of positive role models. We have stories of our own systems, traditional wisdoms, knowledges, sayings, and different elements that will help us build the story that the future generation will appreciate. One of the questions one would ask is, apart from the people who fought for independence, as we learn in civics and other elements, what stories have other Zambians done? So that poses a question that we need to have a conversation, especially in the literary sector, as storytellers, writers, and other artists. Our story hasn't been that of positivity, especially if we compare with other people in the region. Nkhani zathu, basically, it's the program that aims at creating a platform where we could be having conversation around the hearts, having a conversation around the aspect of publishing. We are having a conversation around just continuously how are we telling our own stories, so that the story does not continue glorifying the hunter, but it also glorifies the lion, because we don't know what the lion went through. Like the lion continues telling the story, it's always like succeeded to get the meat. Hence we find stories that are sometimes very confusing. How could somebody come from across and travel far and come and discover something that we already have that exists and there are people around?
Well, basically, that is to say that there's always two sides of coin or story. So
Yes, and the best way is the people have experienced it, the people are experiencing it, or their own people. We tell our own stories, not allowing another person to tell the story.
Interesting. So why the name Nkhani zathu?
The name, significantly, as I tried to explain, Nkhani is a story, or Iriashi, Makande in Silozi. Zathu means ours. So in English it becomes summarize our stories. So hence the focus is on us. It doesn't matter how other people perceive us. If somebody says Zambians are lazy, we want to tell the story. Zambians are hardworking. That's why they are building up, creating their own story, creating their own industries where possible, even if sometimes difficult circumstances around. We change the narrative, and then other times we speak to the future. Like Software Publishers' commitment, that's why we partner with Pan-African Radio to have the voice of Africa. That we tell these stories that will benefit the future generation. We need to start speaking to the future with positivity. Yes, we could be raised, but that's not the story.
Speaking of the future, who is the target audience of Nkhani zathu?
So, Nkhani zathu targets the creators, the producers of be it movies, artworks, poetry, the producers and publishers of books, the writers, the people reading and enjoying the books that are glorifying what Zambia and Africa is about. We are also focusing on the cooperating partners who are supporting the telling of the story. All of it all is bringing about different stakeholders who are contributing towards changing the narrative. That Zambians are good storytellers, Zambians are hardworking, Zambians, they have the history and the story to tell.
If you're just listening, if you've just tuned in, you're listening to Nkhani zathu, Our Stories radio show. This show comes to you by Software Publishers in collaboration with Pan-African Radio. And today we're just having, we just want to help people understand Nkhani zathu, because there have been some people that probably love it. That's why you're listening, I believe. But you haven't fully understood why are these guys doing what they're doing. Today, sit with us, stick with us and know why Nkhani zathu is airing and the future of Nkhani zathu, because it is more than just a radio show. help someone understand what does it seek to achieve.
Okay, Nkhani zathu seeks to achieve, on a greater sense, is to improve the narrative. To improve the narrative that we can't tell the Zambian stories, we can't tell the local successes that has been scored, and we are looking at reflecting the Zambian identity. And by looking at the Zambian identity and the African identity, it grounds us to who we are as the people. Nkhani zathu also helps us to be grounded in what is possible for us as a people. It invites us to look at homegrown solution. And you know what? Art, as it were, in any form it will be expressed, be it written, be it being the art that is spoken in poetry, be it the art that is performed, be it the movies that have so much increased and we are enjoying to see on different platforms, and Zambia growing at international platforms, being appreciated in the soaps that we are producing. It aims at, it's a reflection of what a society is. So Nkhani zathu aims at trying to brief and clearly demonstrate the importance of our identity, who we are, what we are succeeding, as well as celebrating, could be minor baby steps that we could be scoring as a people, be it in the arts and also in governance, just generally our cultural heritage.
Why is it relevant for us to be building on this momentum, especially now?
More than ever, and of course some people would say thanks to COVID-19, there is a thing that COVID brought a reminder that actually we sometimes believe that the solutions can be found far, but we actually have what it takes to be able to cope with the challenges that we are faced with. At the moment, one, there has been limited or a lack of role models in society. If we don't continuously tell the stories, the growth in the influencers and celebrities who at any cost can do anything will make us have the children who don't have any value systems whatsoever, and they'll think it's okay for me to walk naked, it's okay for me to do whatever will make me famous, regardless of what value system it promotes. So it becomes an emergency that if we are to build on the national values and principles, as well as reclaiming our identity as a people who are proud to be Zambians and Africans, we have to do it now. We have to tell the story now and do it over and over, so that the people's collective cultural heritage, the national values and our desires, they are all protected and promoted. As well as, this is a platform where we celebrate ceremonies. We just finished in Twala, you're looking forward to Kuomboka. There's all beauty that unifies people.
Yeah, interestingly, in the previous years, there hasn't been so much excitement for things like Mchwala and whatnot, but because on this one I would attribute to social media, how people are getting excited to say, I'm in Nkhani, I'm a what, I'm going to wear that cap around my head, I don't know what they call it, that beautiful thing they wear around the head. And there's been just so much pride in where you come from, So yeah, I was just throwing it out there. People may be wondering then, who can feature on the program?
Okay, so as we already mentioned that on this platform we invite creators, the creatives, the writers, the authors, producers of different forms of art, the publishers, the people who enjoy the aesthetics, the drama, the taste, the twist and turns that goes with books and the knowledge searchers. We are looking at stakeholders from government. We are looking at stakeholders from the corporate world and international community. They are the ones who can feature on this program, because this program creates not only the platform for their story to be told, but also creates the legacy platform where people would need to hear about somebody. It creates the platform where people can be actually even be commercialized, because if people haven't heard at what you are doing, how you are telling your story, then it becomes difficult for them to look out for that story. And in terms of the ongoing discourse of art as a form of business, this platform creates that level, a platform where people would be heard and people will get to know about who is doing what, who is telling what story, and why should that story be brought into why that story should be made popular and bigger. So this is the platform that invites different individuals who are in the categories of creators, writers, authors, as well as the various stakeholders, because the art is one of, interestingly, you should understand, you even left out the illustrators, especially the publishing sector, as a lot of people involved in the value chain, starting from one having an idea, the people who may help to create and form the concept, the people who will be involved in the editing, maybe some people would even go the ghostwriting, where others will be involved in illustration, photographers to take photos, cover designers. By the time you're coming to read the book, a lot of people are involved in the value chain, and all of them are interested, our clients that we are interested in, to feature on this program. So they tell their story. How did they create these stories that we are enjoying?
That reminds me, as a highlight of what Nkhani Zathu has been doing previously. Anna Ziambo, who is an author, once said that she spent, I'm not sure if those were days or weeks, on a desk in Tendere, writing her latest publication. And this is what Nkhani Zathu does. It just takes you through the process of what an artist went through in order to come up with that particular form of art or work of art. So I remember that very clearly when Anna Ziambo gave us that description, and it was so intense because you can see that artists love what they do. It's less, before you can even think of the money, they breathe their work, I should say. It's like breathing them. Whenever they are breathing and they are writing those things, or they're acting, that's a way of life, and it has to be appreciated by all means beyond money. Yeah, so that was quite a highlight for me, just how Anna Ziambo was explaining it to us. The other time was, I remember when Curtis Lloyd was saying that you cannot tell a story if you do not understand your purpose. For your story to be impactful, it has to come from a place of understanding your purpose, who you are as a person. Otherwise, I think even I could just get up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to do dance. But because dance is not part of who I am, I may end up doing it wrongly, or I may want people to give me a different kind of attention just because I want to be a dancer. So yeah, those have been some highlights that artists and readers and authors have shared on this platform.
Yeah, I also do recall when we had Yoweri using the Ubuntu story. Of course, others find it extra, but then it's where it's bring out an element of who we are, part of our identity, some things that which is going on in our society. We had Gankanani Mofatimoyo, who has said art is like the bloodline. So him lives art everywhere. If you go to their home, it's the art center now, Karuru Creatives there, who have been great partners. But you find him is in poetry, is in promoting cultural artifacts and different elements. But when he gives you the journey of where he has been and what has been like his conviction of why he do what he does, it gives you a lot of energy that we need to have the story told.
Yeah. Also, in just recalling some moments, Mary Silavwe had shared that the time she was writing Destined, it had nothing to do with wanting the book out. It's just where she had been wanting to tell a story, and then unfortunately her husband passed away. Then now it became a way of releasing all that emotion and channeling it into something that she thought of but didn't get to it. So the book was more like her healing. It represented healing for her. And someone reading the book Destined would be like, this is such a good book. I wonder what inspired her and whatnot. People go through so many things. Others use art as a way to heal, like Mary Silavwe Mlenga, the author of Destined, had told us right here on Nkhani Zathu. Yeah.
Yeah, so it has been an interesting journey, but all in all, like you remember we had on phone, we featured Maureen Landa and Msenga. They gave us the side of what they are going through. We had physically Poishano here and Poishano and it's the last week's episode where we had Savoy. It just gives you the picture of the beauty and the aesthetics that goes on when one expresses themselves. But this is like the journey has a lot of challenges that are going on, especially like when you featured even the young writers who featured here, like Moses, and we had the leader like Dr. Vesa. It just gives you the full picture of why our stories need to be told. So at the future generations, when you're having a young person like in future whom we hope to feature, like Laika writing a story as a 9-year-old, she needs to have stories that have been compiled and the inspiration from different people who have traveled the route of being involved in the arts in one or another. So basically the platform for me, as we reflect on what it has been and who has featured on the program, it's continuously inviting us and urging us that we need to tell our story from our perspective. Hence, it's Nkhani Zathu, the program that is aimed at narrative change. We need to change how things have been. We need to change how we call who we are ourselves, and also it needs to tell our aspirations as a people, as well as it's going to influence the governance systems as well, because as I've said, art is part of the blood life of a society. It reflects what is there in society.
Talking of what it's going to do, because in my understanding, of course, Nkhani Zathu is more than just a radio show. So what is the future looking like for the cause?
The audience, we want to go beyond Zambia. We want to tell the story on a bigger platform. Hence, we'll be looking around, having also the vlogging. Like, we would love to have the videos that will be posted online and featuring all these people we have featured, we have mentioned here, as well as some oral storytellers who will give us an inspiration in what was and why certain things are what they are. For example, I don't know how much the youths would know about the history of Youth Day. This is the day that is coming from the happenings of prior to independence, where our Zambian leaders would have been the freedom fighters that we know, the Kaundas and Darimanga Kumbula, would have been non-existent among others, and the story is the young people, they had the role that they played. So that story need to find a platform where it could be told.
In all essence, it's just where Nkhani Zathu is aiming to go beyond Lusaka in Zambia, so that even people that are not in Zambia, because we stand on telling Zambian and African stories. Therefore, even other Africans need to know about their stories through Nkhani Zathu, I believe. We're looking at where we could be having people from maybe Kenya tell us more about their art in Kenya, and someone from Kenya could be able to understand. So yeah, that is the future of Nkhani Zathu, I believe. How else can people be involved other than featuring on the program?
Great. There is a great platform. Anyone who wants to be relevant to the people that they serve, the people they are doing business with, Nkhani Zathu is open for sponsorship. It's open for anybody to partner with us in any form that would enhance and make this program reach the wide and far of the listeners, as well as the people appreciating to know who they are. The people want to appreciate their own stories. Hence, the stories will need collective effort, and as such, we invite partners to come on board, support the cause that the platform that Pan-African Radio and certain publishers have already created, and many people are benefiting already from it. We just had a number of people who have been on this platform, the quality of the guests that come through. And also these people who may want to sponsor in, they are able to come through and just say, okay, I'm going to sponsor this episode, and I want also to tell our stories from their company point of view, and how that the whole story is informing part of the Zambian, the art story, as well as the collective story of humanity.
Wonderful. And I believe we have now concluded this edition of Nkhani Zathu. This is a program that seeks to highlight things in the literary and art sector. It provides information on publishing, Zambian and African stories. The show comes every Tuesday at 13:30 to 14 hours, brought to you by Sotrend Publishers in collaboration with Pan-African Radio. It has been me, Rina Kasongo, with Sydney Mponda. Catch us again next week as we discuss more of what it is to share Zambian and African stories on Pan-African Radio 96.1. Do not forget to also tell more people about Nkhani Zathu and what it is doing for you. In the future, we are going to be having an open conversation with our listener, you, the one that is tuning in. So do look out for those kind of opportunities as we expand ways in which we will be constantly having conversations about Zambian and African stories. Have a wonderful afternoon.